Hi Earthlings, happy Friday. So this week was Earth Day on Wednesday, and we didn't celebrate it on Wednesday because we were doing our regular reading and math work, but really every day is Earth Day. And one of the things that we're learning right now as we all shelter in place and stay home is that our earth is kind of resetting. It's healing from everything that we do to it every day, all the cars that we drive and the factories that work every day. And we need all those things to a certain extent, but it was also polluting our world a lot. So we've really gotten to see the effects of all of us staying inside and how parts of our world are really starting to heal. And Earth Day, again, is every day. We need to do things for the earth. But this book that I'm going to read to you today is called Weslandia. And it's a pretty neat picture book. It won some awards because it has to do with what exactly we get from plants and how if we needed to, we could really survive off of plants. So I'm going to read this to you, and then I have a special, another video that's a special Earth Day art project that we're going to do since it's Fun Friday. So Weslandia by Paul Fleischman. This is the beginning page. I'll show you the pictures after I read it. Of course he's miserable, moaned Wesley's mother. He sticks out. Like a nose, snapped his father. Listening through the heating vent, Wesley knew they were right. He was an outcast from the civilization around him. He alone in his town disliked pizza and soda, alarming to his mother and school nurse. He found professional football stupid. He'd refused to shave half of his head, which was the hairstyle worn by all the other boys, despite his father's bribe of $5. Passing his neighborhood's two styles of housing, garage on the left and garage on the right, Wesley alone dreamed of more exciting forms of shelter. He had no friends, but plenty of tormentors. Fleeing them was the only sport he was good at. So he doesn't really fit in. He doesn't feel comfortable in his civilization, which is the group of people around us. And he wants a different kind of shelter. That means a different kind of place to live. Each afternoon, his mother asked him what he'd learned in school that day. That seeds are carried great distances by the wind, he answered on Wednesday. That each civilization has a staple food crop, he answered on Thursday. That school's over and I should find a good summer project, he answered on Friday. As always, his father mumbled, I'm sure you'll use that knowledge often. Suddenly, Wesley's thoughts shot sparks. His eyes blazed. His father was right. He could actually use what he'd learned that week for a summer project that would top all others. He would grow his own staple food crop and found his own civilization. So a staple food crop means a type of plant that you can get a lot of things from, not just food, but you can use the whole part of that plant to get all sorts of different things. And then to found his own civilization means to start his own civilization. So he's going to find a really good plant, and then he's going to start kind of his own world. The next morning, he turned over a plot of ground in his yard. That night, a wind blew in from the west. It raced through the trees and set his curtains snapping. Wesley lay awake listening. His land was being planted. "5 days later, the first seedlings appeared. "You'll have mighty bedlam on your hands if you don't get those weeds out," warned his neighbor. "Actually, that's my crop," replied Wesley. "In this type of garden, there are no weeds." Following ancient tradition, Wesley's fellow gardeners grew tomatoes, beans, Brussels sprouts, and nothing else. Wesley found it thrilling to open his land to chance, to invite the new and unknown. So his plant is new and unknown. The plants shot up past his knees, then his waist. They seemed to be all the same sort. Wesley couldn't find them in any plant book. "Are those tomatoes, beans, or Brussels sprouts?" asked Wesley's neighbor. "None of the above," replied Wesley. Fruit appeared, yellow at first, then blushing to magenta. Wesley picked one and sliced through the rind to the juicy purple center. He took a bite and found the taste an entrancing blend of peach, strawberry, pumpkin pie, and flavors he had no name for. Ignoring the shelf of cereals in the kitchen, Wesley took to breakfasting on the fruit. He dried half a rind to serve as a cup, built his own squeezing device, and drank the fruit's juice throughout the day. Pulling up a plant, he found large tubers on the roots. These he boiled, fried, or roasted on his family's barbecue, seasoning them with a pinch of the plant's highly aromatic leaves. So he's using all the different parts of the fruit that he's getting, and he's eating it for breakfast, and he's drinking the juice all day. And then on the roots, he found tubers, which is sort of like a potato. And he's cooking those up at night also for food. So he's eating from that plant all day long. That's what you would call a staple food crop. It was hot work tending to his crop. To keep off the sun, Wesley wove himself a hat from strips of the plant's woody bark. His success with the hat inspired him to devise a spinning wheel and loom on which he wove a loose-fitting robe from the stalk's soft inner fibers. Unlike jeans, which he found scratchy and heavy, the robe was comfortable, reflected the sun, and offered myriad opportunities for pockets. So he's using the fibers from inside the plant to actually make his clothing now, which is similar to cotton. Cotton grows in a plant, and we use cotton for our clothes. So that's what he's doing from his staple food crop plant. His schoolmates were scornful, then curious. Grudgingly, Wesley allowed them 10 minutes apiece at his mortar, crushing the plant's seeds to collect the oil. This oil had a tangy scent and served him both as a suntan lotion and mosquito repellent. He rubbed it on his face each morning and sold small amounts to his former tormentors at the price of $10 per bottle. So now he's using the oil and he's making different types of lotion, and now you see he's starting to sell it. So he's starting to make money off of his crop. "What's happened to your watch?" asked his mother one day. Wesley admitted that he no longer wore it. He told time by the stalk that he used as a sundial and had divided the day into 8 segments, the number of petals on the plant's flowers. He'd adopted a new counting system as well, based likewise upon the number 8. His domain, home to many such innovations, he named Weslandia. So he came up with a new way to tell time. Instead of using a clock like we use, which has 12 hours, his has 8. And then we, of course, have the magic number 10 when we're counting. He came up with a new way to count, a new number system where the magic number's 8. Uninterested in traditional sports, Wesley made up his own. These were designed for a single player and used many different parts of the plant. His spectators looked on with envy. Realizing that more players would offer him more scope, Wesley invented other games that would include his schoolmates. Games rich with strategy and complex scoring systems. He tried to be patient with the other players' blunders. This kind of reminds me of the game they play in Harry Potter. If you've ever read Harry Potter or watched the movie Quidditch, I think it's called. August was unusually hot. Wesley built himself a platform and took to sleeping in the middle of Weslandia. He passed the evenings playing a flute he'd fashioned from a stalk, or gazing up at the sky, renaming the constellations. So now he's even building things out of his crop. And he's making instruments out of his crop, similar to wood that we make from trees. Look at his land that he's created, Weslandia. His parents noted Wesley's improved morale. "It's the first time in years he's looked happy," said his mother. Wesley gave them a tour of Weslandia. "What do you call this plant?" asked his father. Not knowing its name, Wesley began calling it Swist, from the sound of its leaves rustling in the breeze. In like manner, he named his new fabrics, games, and foods until he'd created an entire language. Look at their backyard. It's crazy. Mixing the plant's oil with soot, Wesley made a passable ink. As the finale to his summer project, he used the ink and his own 80-letter alphabet to record the history of his civilization's foundings. In September, Wesley returned to school. So he made paper, he made ink. He had no shortage of friends. The end. So this is an exaggeration, of course, because I'm not sure if there's actually one plant, one crop out there that we could get all of these things like Wesley did from his crop. But it is similar to, if you remember the Lorax and the Truffula trees, all the different things that Truffula trees were used for and all the different animals that they fed. And they were homes for these animals. And then they also could be made into other things. So this Swist, I think he called it, his crop, it shows you how important plants are. It shows you all the things we can get from plants. The clothes that we're wearing, the paper that we write on. This book was made from paper, which comes from wood. Our furniture. So in honor of Earth Day, we just need to remember how important it is to plant plants, take care of plants, plant trees, take care of trees. And this book won many, many awards. You can see on the back how many awards it won. So it's a good one. So happy Earth Day, my little earthlings. Get outside and appreciate all the wonders of the world. And the next link that's on Google Classroom today is our Earth Day project. It's just something kind of fun. You can hang it in a window. A great idea that I saw online was some kids made lots of these projects, and then they delivered them to neighbors or grandparents or people that were not allowed to be around right now. So it just puts a smile on people's face. So tune into the next YouTube video and watch that. I love you and I miss you, and there's no place like home on earth.